So this is the first time I'm doing something like this. I've checked DPS privately in the past, but not like this, which is how I kind of came up with my current build. So the current build I run is the Grudge, Pistoleer, Raid Captain, Adrenaline, Precise Dagger. And to run this build, you need Spiral Tracker to have quick pace, tripod to give you maximum movement speed, and then that lets you cap out Raid Captain. You just need at least 500 swiftness to do that. So you lose a little bit of spec, but you gain cooldown reduction and you are a little bit faster, and your dexterous shot is almost like permanently available for repositioning, which is nice. And yeah, so that you also just need to make sure that you put a cooldown reduction gem on your spiral tracker. These are not my actual gems right now. I kind of did this setup already. So what we're going to do is we're going to test the DPS for this build, which is my current recommended build. And then we're going to do, which it will be more DPS. It's just that it may not fit your playstyle. We'll test this build versus the curse style build. Yeah. So the rotation that we'll use will be Spiral Tracker into the Grenade into Equilibrium. And for those of you that are new, Spiral Tracker puts Conviction down, and then the Equilibrium puts Judgment down. So you'll go like that, and those two will be your Conviction and Judgment. So then after that, your main damage dealer is Meteor Stream, and then Quick Shot, and then you kind of end things with Cruel Tracker. And when you have the Swiftness build, you're going to run out of mana if you use all your abilities in every rotation if you don't have a support. If you have a support, then you can run all of your abilities with every rotation, and you're not going to run into mana problems. But if you're in a group that doesn't have that, then you'll run out of mana. So in Trixion, if you do a really long DPS test, you'll find yourself running out of mana, and then you'll just be standing there doing nothing. In a real raid setting, that is very rare where you don't have cooldowns up to use, or very rare for you to run out of mana. So I've never had any problems with it. And worst case scenario, you can put the mana food up if you're really worried about it. And then for curse style, the build I'll use is it'll substitute Plasma Bullet in for Spiral Tracker, because Plasma Bullet actually does the most stagger in your kit. So you can spam that for more stagger. It also does more damage than Spiral Tracker. So if you're wanting to just like purely maximize your damage, which we will find out exactly how much that is. But if you want to max out your damage, I believe you would run, full spec crit with Curse Stall, and then you'd run Plasma Bullet instead of Spiral Tracker. So we're going to find out exactly how significant that difference is, and I'll run the Hallucination set with both, and then I believe with the Curse Stall I can run Nightmare as well. So we'll see how it goes. One other thing I wanted to mention is that upcoming on the Korean patch notes, which these are not live on our server, is you've got a very large buff to Meteor Stream, which is awesome because that's our biggest damage dealer. And then weirdly enough, you get a buff to Deathfire, which this buff actually might make it better than Cruel Tracker. So you could potentially run Deathfire instead of Cruel Tracker in the future. I don't know for certain, but it's something that I'll be testing for sure when it comes out. And then they're also going to buff Equilibrium by 7%, which is pretty significant as well. So these are all changes we're looking forward to, and it may actually put Pistoleer higher in the rankings for DPS, which would be nice because currently it's at the very bottom of everything. All right, so let's see, Scarecrow. Timer settings, we'll do 1 minute, maybe. That feels right. And then, oh, that's the wrong one. Get a boss. There it is. Okay. So for this build, for this round, we're doing full hallucination, 1350 spec, 400 crit, 500 swiftness, Grudge, Pistoleer, Raid Captain, Adrenaline, Precise Dagger, all the core abilities, get damage cooldown reduction, and then the one change here is on Spiral Tracker getting a cooldown reduction gem. In the Cursed Doll build, we'll just make this a damage plasma bullet, I believe. And then everything else will stay exactly the same. And then LOS 18. So there you go. I'll do a round with the ult after the initial judgment. We'll see how it goes. So see how we're running out of mana? Okay, so that one was using all the abilities in a minute, running out of mana. So I've clipped that separately. We actually, see if I can add that to so it's Hallucination, Raid Captain, 1350 Spec. 1 minute. All abilities ran out of mana. That's the name of the file. Let's add it. If I can get this on the screen. Okay. So the first one, we ran out of mana. Should probably do 30 seconds so I don't run a mana. I'll do one more test and not do dexterous and enforced. Same everything. No crit. That was fun. Right, so this one. I did like every other rotation with the fillers. So that was a little bit better. Alright. So we'll try to replicate that with the other build. I think I have to go out to change my abilities. So we'll do that. Trying to add the font to the screen. Oh, there it is. Alright, so that's Raid Captain. Alright, now we're gonna do think 1750 spec, like no swiftness, and 500 crit. And then turns out I didn't have to leave to change the skills. And then this should be just damage. For plasma bullet. Instead of the cooldown reduction on all the main ones. The grenade is actually your like second or third highest DPS ability that you have. A lot of uptime on it. Alright, now we're gonna get rid of Raid Captain and put on Crystal. Okay. So this build, 1750 spec, crit. Then you got Grudge, Pistoleer, Crystal, Adrenaline, Precise Dagger. And the only different gem from the last one is we're putting damage on Plasma Bullet. First we'll run Hallucination, and then next I'll test out the Nightmare. Again, I'll do every other for the fillers. And as a reminder, the rotation is going to be Plasma Bullet, Grenade, Equilibrium. And then anytime Plasma Bullet and the Grenade are up, I'll mix them in between the three main abilities: Meteor Strike, Quick Shot, and Cruel Tracker. Lucky on the crit there. It's so much slower. It does more damage, it just feels so slow motion. Alright, so with the critting ult, this one does quite a bit more damage. And our let's get that one added. Alright, now we'll change to Nightmare. Try that one out. So with Nightmare you want to ult a little earlier so you get the benefit from the set. And here we go. No crit there. Alright, so obviously less crits there with Nightmare versus Hallucination. So significantly lower damage. I think I'm going to try one more rotation with the original build and try to get a crit on the ult so that it's more fair damage. Is our ult crit so hard? First Nightmare. I'll do one more with Raid Captain build. I believe. And we get rid of Plasma Bullet. Power Tracker. There's see if we can get an ult crit on this one. Oh, I have Nightmare on, don't I? Yep. Oh, no crit. Even less than before. So it's very clear the winner in the DPS race is the Crystal build with Plasma Split. Like, that's significant. It's just, with that build, you're so slow. And it's a tough playstyle. Whereas in this build, you're very, very fast. Because you can always throw a Spiral Tracker down in your max move speed. And part of the benefit to that is that you can increase the amount of uptime that you have if the boss is moving around. Like, your uptime, for instance, on like Clown Gate 2 is crazy good. In Brel Gate 6, your uptimes are really, really good. As she's like launching herself around the map, you can very easily follow with your rage, max move speed. And you just have a ton of mobility to reposition for back attacks as well, which is significant. Whereas if you're just standing here, you know, like if you're fighting the Ice Turtle, like, yeah, the Crystal build's gonna be way better than this. But having that move speed lets you reposition. Like, look how fast that is. And then you have all these movement abilities to get you around. Like, I personally just like that swiftness build so much more because your uptime is way higher. Whereas if you're a typical spec class is like very, very slow and it's hard to reposition. You know, it's kind of like with barrage enhancement, artillerist, you're just in a wheelchair, but then if you have to move, you're just like super slow. Whereas this, you get a good chunk of spec, but you have enough swiftness, and then along with the tripod to make it so that you can reposition very, very easily behind the boss, so that you're always able to get back attacks. And one of the things that I do is when I'm in a bad position, your main damage ability, Meteor Stream, doesn't need to be positioned behind. So you can always throw it from a position, then get behind and do your other part of your rotation. And so you have that flexibility to kind of like weave in Meteor Stream while you're trying to reposition. And then you can always toss the grenade on, and the grenade hits so hard, like, and it puts a dot on it, and you're just spamming that. And what's cool about it is you are applying your crit resistance to your 10% crit for your party. So it's really, really easy to just always apply that crit for your party members. You just chase the boss around. So that's why I prefer the raid captain build. Like, it's very clear that Cursed Doll with Hallucination, you know, like, that's a significant damage boost. So, like, it's worth considering. It's just, you'll want to put it into practice in raids, because I personally think that you'll have to change your playstyle to adapt that high spec, low swift, low movement speed. Like, you still do have dexterous shot, and you still have your enforce execution to reposition, but you're not going to have the benefit of being max move speed at all times with Spiral Tracker, which you're going to feel that difference. Even when I was doing the rotation, it felt like really clunky. Like, it felt like it was in slow motion. Whereas the way this rotation feels is everything comes out in a natural way. Like, if that makes sense, it feels more natural to have that extra swiftness. As things get out faster, and it feels like you can pull off more damage in short windows. And then obviously your ultimate, if you're full spec, like, that's gonna hit for 40 million instead of 30 million. So yeah, I think those are the only routes to go. I don't think Cursed Doll Nightmare makes any sense. Just because you lose so much crit, whereas your crit rate jumps up significantly with Hallucination, and it really benefits your damage. Because I think if you're doing the slower attacks, you really need to make sure that those abilities attack when you land them. So you need that extra crit from Hallucination versus Nightmare. So yeah, I think that makes the most sense to me. You basically just have the two builds: Cursed Doll Hallucination and Raid Captain Hallucination, and then you're switching out Spiral Tracker with Quick Pace for Raid Captain, for Plasma Bullet under Cursed Doll. And so then your rotation is that. And I'm always tossing in the Grenade and Spiral Tracker, or Grenade and Plasma Bullet, in between whatever ability is on the right. So if you see, you know, Quick Shot is about to come off cooldown, toss in your Grenade, Plasma Bullet or Grenade, Spiral Tracker, then do the quick shot. And you particularly want to do it if you're Spiral Tracker, because this is capping your Raid Captain, so you're going to get your most damage out of it. So you want to always do it, but I think it's good to do it with this as well, because you're getting 2 stacks of this, and you always want to make sure that you're using one. And then just always fill in with those in between while you're waiting on these 4 abilities to come back on cooldown. If you have any different opinions, or if you know of a different build or a different setup, let me know in the comments, and I'll be happy to keep testing these out. I realize, like, I'm probably not doing a perfect rotation each time, so there could be discrepancies there. But having the ultimate crit on the Hallucination Cursed Doll one makes that one way higher than the Raid Captain one. I think if we got a crit for the Raid Captain one, it would be a little closer, versus being 1,000 DPS apart. And probably be like 500 DPS difference or something. So that's it for this. Until next time.